Can you use an almost 6-year-old iPhone 10 in 2023? Is it still good enough as the first full-screen iPhone Apple released? Let's see. If you found this video by it being suggested, thank you. I do all things related to Apple, the good and the bad. If that sounds like your thing, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. More importantly, turn on that notification bell so you won't miss my next video when I post it. Thank you. Every year when Apple updates their iOS, there's also a number of phones that sadly don't make the cut to get that latest OS. Now, is that such a bad thing? Well, yes and no, depending on what new features are released. You either care, or in some cases, you just don't. Then you have nothing to worry about. This year, it's rumored that the iPhone 8s and 10 will not see iOS 17. Personally, I was hoping that the iPhone 10 would see at least one more year of updates. For some reason, I actually thought it had a better Apple A chip, but it didn't. Now, it does have slightly better CPU specs and 3 gigs of memory compared to the 8's 2 gigs. However, I'm not sure how much that matters. Forgetting all of that, this doesn't mean that Apple is completely cutting off all support. In some capacity, they're still supporting all the way back to the 6S and 6S Plus. While you can't get the latest OS, Apple does support those old OSs for 3 generations. Even though the 6S's last OS update was the 15, it will continue to get bug and security updates. And honestly, that's the most important thing. Apple has certainly seen its share of controversy when it comes to slowing down devices that get the newer OS as a form of trickery to get you a new phone. While that is slimy as hell, there actually is a legit reason why this was done. Many of you probably already know this, but the phone's hardware may not be able to handle the latest and greatest software that Apple wants to put on it. So they slow it down or limit what other features it can do because it can't do it at the speed or success rate that the newer devices can. It really is that simple. However, not coming out and being transparent got Apple in trouble. Can the iPhone 10 still be a usable device in 2023 just because it's almost 6 years old? To answer this question, I went ahead and jumped on OfferUp for you to look for a cheap iPhone 10 that I could use for a few weeks. Don't worry, this is not a nightmare purchasing experience. The thumbnail would have said that. There are 2 things I look for when I'm buying older devices. Many of them do unfortunately have small storage capacities. I try to get a minimum of 128 or even 256 gigs when buying one. The reason for this is to help the device be able to process apps, videos, etc. while using it. The iPhone 10 that I bought has 256 gigs of storage and it only ran me about $200. The second is battery life. Any older iPhone that is used most likely doesn't have the best battery life left, unless you happen to find an amazing one that has never been used. Another thing to note is any iPhone older than the 11 can still have components replaced by third parties, thus saving you a lot of money. The only issue I have with this phone is something that thankfully can be fixed for a relatively inexpensive cost. The battery is bad, like really bad. 73% battery life to be exact. How does that translate to usage? Well, let's just say that after using it for about an hour, it went from 100 to 30%. And it died with only an hour and a half of actual usage. Ouch. After realizing this, I went ahead and bought a brand new battery from the folks at iFixit. Not a sponsor, but let's be honest, they should be at this point. By the way, the iPhone 10 is still a device that you can replace these kinds of things and not regulated by Apple's restrictions. I still have all the same stats that I do with the new battery. Now that the new battery is in, I am at 5 to 6 hours of usage. Oh, okay. Not bad. It's still not at the 8 to 9 hours of usage that I'm used to, but let's be honest, it's better than what I had when I started. Whenever I plan to go somewhere that I can't charge the phone, I'm gonna have to bring a charger. Now, the experience of using this phone. The good. I updated to the latest iOS and it's running great. Now, maybe the update helped the new battery. I didn't help the old one, but you know. Now, I don't have the 14 Pro, but the 13 Pro, in my opinion, is just as good. Comparing these side by side, you can see just a slight speed increase. But using it alone, I didn't sit there and go, oh my God, this thing is so slow. Now, games obviously are going to open up faster on the 13 Pro, but when it came to daily apps, I mean, it really wasn't that different. Remember, we're using a phone that is almost 6 years old. Camera-wise, yeah, the pictures are different, but it's not bad. Every year the cameras get better and better, but along that route, things kind of change. Like Apple goes with maybe a more natural look or more saturated, or they try to do things with, you know, the low light. And now they are just a little bit darker, but in my opinion, they are less saturated, and I like that look. Now, one thing the 13 Pro has that the 10 doesn't is the ability to shoot in RAW format. This gives the person to be able to edit it if there is a problem. Not enough light, too much light. It just has more data to allow you to manipulate the photo so it can actually look better. Whereas the 10, you take it, you're kind of limited what you can do. For general use, I mean, it's more than fine. You can always edit a little bit after the fact. Video-wise, this is a big one because both do shoot in 4K. Now, of course, the newer the device, the better it will get with processing and things like that. Much like the picture side that I was telling you about, the 13 Pro can also shoot RAW in video. Same thing, you can gather more data. If the picture isn't perfect in video, you have more room to edit it and make it look better. Whereas the 10, you're kind of limited to what you can do. By the time you upload it to anything, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, it all gets processed to hell anyway. I thought going back to an older display would be bad, but I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't feel like I could even tell a difference side by side. Alone, you know, I thought it looked great. Nice and bright, good sharp colors. I'm not complaining. I don't usually go without a case on my phones, and that didn't change with the iPhone 10. However, this thing is a lot more comfortable. The squared off edges of the 13 is a pretty cool look, but it's not comfortable. Now, since I paid only $200 for the iPhone, I didn't even bother putting a case on it, and I love it. Super comfortable, nice and light, and you know, back then, I would never go without a case for that thing. I mean, it was expensive as it was, so maybe I'll go without a case on the 13 Pro. No. Because honestly, it's more comfortable with a case on it. Now, some things I do miss while I'm using the 10. It does have wireless charging, but just not MagSafe. So, you know, I have my MagSafe charger on my desk, and I can try to set it up, and it kind of does, but I don't want to sit there and hold it while it's charging. I can set it down a little bit, and does it? No. Oh well. Which many people may not even care about. The 13 Pro does charge faster because of the newer tech and the newer battery, and that's obvious. Now, the speakers on the 10 don't have as much bass as the 13 Pro. Loudness, honestly, I really couldn't tell much of a difference. Every time I get a new iPhone, I think, ooh, speakers sound louder, that's good. But after a while, I just feel like I'm cupping the damn thing anyway, and I go, this thing is not loud enough. Maybe that's just me.
Turn it up! Turn it up!
When newer OSs get released, the older phones do get the update, but there are certain things older phones won't get. As far as the 10 goes, with iOS 16, some of the things it didn't get were live captions and improved dictation. Now, dictation is something I use a lot, and let's be honest, I thought it was garbage on the new phones, and it's just a little bit worse, I guess, on the 10. Honestly, I really couldn't tell because, you know, you use that and it just gets crap all wrong. I blame Siri. Now, the one thing that I use a lot for my thumbnails is the ability to lift objects from a picture and cut them out. I did miss this, but again, this is my preference. I don't know how many people would even care about that. So with all my hullabaloo, the good, the bad, what I had to do to get the phone to a certain point, can you use it? Hell yeah, you can use it. If you are someone that likes to get the latest and greatest OS, you might want to move up a little bit to a couple generations and you can save a little bit of money and get the latest and greatest for a couple more years. However, keep in mind, like I just said, things like security updates and bug updates do go for a couple generations after you stop getting updates. So that is really a good thing. I don't have any complaints about that. And I think you can use this phone, and you could probably even use the 8 or the 7 if that's what you're using right now. The two important things that I need to restate, which I mentioned earlier, are for a better experience: the amount of storage you need for the device and the life left on the battery. The more free space you have, the smoother the phone will work. Any older phone than the 11 can be upgraded without Apple's help. If you don't want to do it yourself, there are plenty of places that can do it for you, and you still get full functionality because it's not the iPhone 11 or newer, which is where the problems begin. Now, if you want to check out some more information on iPhones coming out, have been out, go ahead and check out this playlist right here. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying this content. You guys have a good one, and I'll see you later.